Looking at the harsh effects of the 2021 July unrest, which saw billions in damages and over 350 fatalities, remaining under the spotlight a year later. This as the business community is worried about a repeat of those riots. Continued load shedding, slow economic growth, the rising cost of living and high unemployment have dampened business confidence and overall economic sentiment in South Africa. CEO of the South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mukoki, joins us for this conversation. Thank you so much for your time, Ellen. Let's begin with highlighting SACCI's stance, particularly amid the ongoing concerns that are basically in South Africa taking precedence when it comes to slowing down economic growth.
Well, yes, thank you so much, Jungsang, and thank you to your good morning to your listeners as well. We remain concerned, as you'd appreciate, that many businesses are impacted very largely by all the conditions that we find, the environment, which is very adverse to business performance and business growth at this point in time. Challenges with infrastructure, people blocking roads, the energy crisis, the increasing outlook for both inflation and interest rates. All these things are effectively conspiring to impact business very negatively, and I think that we're very concerned about job growth. We're concerned about whether we can sustain the little green shoots that we saw showing up in the last Stats General report, that the economy was beginning to at least move into a better position. So, but these other things are coming up, the price of fuel and all these things are now coming, all of them, all at the same time against us. And I think that we're very concerned about that, yes.
Looking a year back to the 2021 July unrest, what has changed, especially if we look at the knock-on effect that this has had on business confidence?
Well, a lot has changed in the sense that it damaged confidence, and I think that it raised a lot of doubts in people's minds around the capacity of the state, in particular the security forces, as well as the intelligence forces, in not being able, at least to a large extent, to capture what could happen. And then when it was happening, there was this level of helplessness and hopelessness amongst our own security forces, especially the police, in terms of being able to deal and stem the problems that were actually arising. In a sense, our police were just absent. And I think that you've had most of that in the various conversations and commissions that were launched to look into the particular issue. I think that where we are, the government has not yet showed us their plans in terms of what would they do should situations like that arise again in the future. So we haven't seen that. We haven't seen the plan in terms of the SAPS or intelligence community. These are the things, these are the plans, and this is the way we think we can actually do these things. Because these things, you need to make sure that you've got a very clear contingency plan of how to deal with them. Many businesses are still suffering. Those who were outside of the insured environment with SARS recover. People lost a lot of their value in terms of their businesses. Some actually never opened, as you know. So we're very concerned about all those things in terms of the lack of certainty around how do we deal with these risks if and where they to arise. Because many of the conditions that led to them are yet to be removed. The political trigger was just one element of it. But the issues of poverty, hunger, inequality, the issues of lack of access to high-quality education, lack of access to universal high-quality healthcare, these remain things, unemployment figures that are really bad, especially amongst the youthful people. Just a country that seems to give an indication to anyone who is young and trying to start a career that this is not a particularly safe journey that you're going to have. It's going to be a rocky one if it even starts in the first place. So we need as South Africans to get together to resolve these issues in a way that is much more decisive than we have done to date.
What's to be said then about the continued uncertainty when it comes to optimism when we are to find it in the near-term outlook for the economic trajectory?
Well, that's why we say that, the problems that are, and we keep saying that it's the four horsemen of VUCA, the risks that we're facing, the volatility, the uncertainty, the complexity and ambiguity. It has created the level of strain and stress in society in such a way that we are deluding ourselves if we assume that only the government can resolve the issues and the challenges that are facing South Africa today. I don't think that that can happen. And I also don't think that the solutions are necessarily going to be found amongst those of us who are maybe perhaps in organized business. Because again, you are not necessarily going to find the best talents there. So we need to have a different conversation as South Africans, and maybe Nightlight may not necessarily be the forum anymore where you say, I've got big business, big labor, and big business organizations coming together. There are many, many skills and talents of people who need to participate much more effectively in resolving the issues of South Africa. Long are gone the days where we think, oh, the minister is going to solve this problem and the president is going to, because you can see for yourself that they themselves are struggling in terms of figuring a way that is permanent in terms of what are we going to do for South Africa. The problems are not short-term. Yeah. None of the short-term plans are actually going to resolve anything, but we need to sit down and say, what is the long game? What are we going to do to permanently resolve the issue of poverty, permanently resolve the issue of hunger, permanently resolve the issue of high quality education to many of the people who are actually excluded from that high quality education. I'm not saying that people are not getting education, they are, but are they getting the high quality? Are we having a situation where students at tertiary can go and study without worrying about whether their parents have got the levels of income that they need to get? So we're not yet at a stage where we're resolving these particular issues, and I think that we as a South African Chamber certainly are looking forward to engaging the newly appointed National Development Planning Commission commissioners to see what exactly is this that we actually need to do. We've got some very firm views about what needs to
what is needed, long-term solutions. Thank you for your time. SECI CEO Ellen Mukoki talking to us about the business confidence in South Africa marking a year since the July unrest.